Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Zach Shomler, and this is the Desperately Dating Podcast. My name is Zach Shomler. I think I already said that. To my right is my wonderful and wise stepmom, Karyn. She's amazing. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
Today's episode is called, it's all about the idea of finding time for dating. And I've talked about how I want to start an email line, and I someday I really want to make an email address so people can write in and say, here's our question, how can you help, blah, 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 blah. But for now, we don't have that. But today's episode is starting with a question you got from the audience.
Yep.
I loved it. So Karyn, could you read that question?
I can. So even without an email address, we're still managing to get these questions. But anyway, we like this one, and it is, when you're busy with life, how do you maximize your time and avoid falling into the desperately dating trap?
How do you date when you're short on time and avoid desperately dating?
Yeah.
I love it. I want to lean on you. I really want to lean on you for this episode because I
can talk about this for sure. I lived it.
Hell yeah. Because I have a lot, my job is hard. I have a lot of time at work, but you have kids, you've been married.
Yep.
You're way older than me. What are your thoughts?
Wait a minute.
Whoa. You're older than me, of unmentionable time and distance. I love it. This is why I fucking love you. Hey,
little punk. I'm not that old. Make me sound like I'm ancient. Let me get my cane and hobble out of here.
Stick, and your back is hunched over, and you have warts the size of my eyeballs all over your face, and you can barely walk, let alone go for a Brit. Karyn, what the hell am I talking about? Tell me about where do your thoughts go when you heard this question?
Oh, well, it takes me right back to post-divorce after I'd gotten my shit together and gotten my ship stabilized and I was ready to date. Being a single mom, working full time, maintaining a house, having pets, like that whole deal. It didn't leave a lot of time left over for dating.
And can we pause for people who are, if you've been married and had that experience, you get that. But if you're an 18-year-old high school kid or a college kid, you're like, remember, you got to take the dog for a walk. You work all day, like 8 hours a day. You got to drive the kids to practice. You got to drive the kids this and that. They're hanging out with their friends. You're not only chauffeuring your kids, taking care of your pet, doing work. Your fucking life takes a lot of time, and you don't have to. Like, when do you go on a date with that schedule? I have no fucking idea. Right? Like,
yeah,
it's horrifying to me a little bit. Like, damn.
Yeah, it takes some strategy involved. But, that being said, I think when you're a college student, you're busy there too with a lot of stuff. So I think, some of this might still apply.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I found that, online dating is really fucking efficient. You're able to kind of weed out, look at things at your leisure, at different profiles at your leisure. So you're not kind of wasting time there, just, I don't know, going out to like meetup events or, some other things that maybe might not be as effective.
It's a good buffer.
It is.
And I really use it. Use the tool. I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with online dating. No. Your experience, you literally met my dad, and you got married to my dad you met on like some website somewhere.
I'm not saying.
Fair enough.
That's right.
Fair enough. But again, it works. It fucking works. Don't be afraid to use it. It's so all it does. If you look at online dating this way, it's a way to set up a first date.
Exactly.
That's all you got to look at it
That's
as.
it. Mm-hmm.
And please, for the love of God, don't fall in love with someone while you're texting them. You've never met them. I did this one time in college where I texted this girl for like a week and a half. We had all these grand plans. We're going to a football game. We're doing this and that. We went on our first date. No chemistry. Yep. It was awful. I was like, oh, this doesn't work.
I've lived that too. So that's definitely another piece of advice is don't mess around. Just go and meet.
Be quick.
Yeah,
when you message someone on a dating service, be quick and say, how quickly can we set up coffee? How quickly can we go get a drink?
Well, and that's the other thing is keep the date short. So, when you're short on time, just, meet them after work for a drink or meet them on your lunch hour even for a quick sandwich or whatever.
Was it kind of like working out? Like a lot of people view working out as it's got to be this 2-hour thing. And you're like, how the hell am I going to work out for 2 hours every day? Like,
no, it doesn't. It can be
short. For 20 minutes.
And it should be short. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a meet and greet. And like we've said ad nauseum, dating is a numbers game. So you need to be prepared that you're probably going to need to go on a bunch of dates before you find somebody that you want to stay with.
But if you emotionally don't look at it as this gigantic time commitment, this giant burden, feel that it's like, it's just lunch with a different human being. You can get lunch with a person.
Yeah, exactly. It can be fast. And then the other thing is be ruthless. I know I've said that before, but I mean it. If there's no chemistry, for whatever reason, don't overthink it. Don't try and figure it out. Talk yourself into something, whatever. But if you're not feeling it, leave it at that. Leave it at one date.
Yeah. You went at lunch. Salad was bad. He sucked. Bye.
Yeah. It's over. Done.
Next.
I feel like I could write a haiku about that in some way, but it might be kind of fun. Yeah. And then I'd say, it's kind of like the same principle as when you go grocery shopping with a list. Stick to your shopping list. Don't deviate. Don't start buying impulse buys. It's like,
oh, this guy has a boat. He's ugly and bald, and I hate everything about him, but he's got a boat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or like he skis.
Or this girl is beautiful, but she can't string 3 words together. No.
Yeah. I mean, Instagram is a big one. Like you see cute girls on Instagram, like, she's so cool. And you're like, no. She can't have a conversation with me. Like,
yeah.
Who cares?
Not a lot there. Yeah. And then I would encourage people to have fun with it. If it seems like a business transaction, that's not good, especially when time is already short.
Yeah.
And I think too, you'll kind of leak that energy too. If you're just feeling like you're all business, you're on the hunt, you're trying to find the person, they're going to be able to feel that.
You feel it when you leave. Like you want a good first date and you're like, dang, I can't wait to see that person again. You get that, there's like an energy. You're like, you get energized from like, oh, yeah, that person was awesome. I can't wait to have another conversation with them and go on a second date. If you walk away like,
like it was a job interview.
Yeah. I answered all the questions right.
Yeah.
And my sweater wasn't
I wonder if
ruffled.
I'll get a call back.
Yeah, no. You should feel like a sense of, and look, I'm not saying your lunch date is the fucking best lunch you've ever had and it's magical. It doesn't have to be that. But it should be a good time and you're like, you're thinking about the second date.
Yeah, like you want to entertain the idea of going on a second date. You want to learn more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not curious or a little bit, there's that thing like that, like a little bit of excitement, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly didn't go on very many second dates. I went on a lot of first dates, but I feel like, for me anyway,
pretty
I could
quick.
tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were a couple of times where I was like, oh, maybe I'll go on another and see. But then after that, I don't think there were many third dates.
But you pretty quickly, like, you can tell, can this person hold a conversation? Is what they have to say interesting? Like, and that's pretty much yes or no for me, at least. Like,
yeah.
But it's, again, you got to be willing. Go on like 30, 20, 16 first dates and be ruthless. Don't be afraid. Don't go on a second date if you don't like them. But understand, like, go on lots of first dates.
Yeah, well, just be prepared that you may need to.
Yeah.
I would say it that way.
Yeah,
because, I mean, who knows? You may get luckier
Fair
than
enough.
I did. I had to go on, 30 or 40.
Yeah.
But you may not.
That damn person that meets someone on the first date.
Well,
fuck you.
I think it's
envy you.
theoretically possible.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Don't close the door on that opportunity, right?
Right. But then I think it's important, too, to remember, especially when time is tight and you've got lots of competing priorities, to enjoy the journey. I really made a big push to have that attitude that, I'm going to meet big swatch of humanity and I'm going to enjoy it.
I'm going to enjoy the coffee.
Yeah, the contact, the learning about different people, seeing how different people learn their lives, how they look at things. Yeah, so I think it's important not to lose the joy in it too.
That's why I love you, man. That's a choice to just enjoy the experience. That's really just, are you going to do it? Are you going to make the most of every opportunity? Because you might go on a first date with someone who doesn't matter, but like, hey, the hot dog is still really good, or the coffee was great. Like find something that like makes it worth it, even if it's not the date you want and you're not going for a second date.
Yeah, and I feel like too, personally, I like understanding people, learning kind of what makes them tick. So
it's
for
like
me,
you're
that
hidden inner sociologist.
I guess so, or anthropologist, or whatever. Yeah,
maybe it's
maybe it's that. I don't know. Anyway, but I really did enjoy. I tried to focus on that, like even if I knew immediately that they weren't for me, but still to kind of get inside their head a little bit. That was fun for me.
You get to learn about people.
Yeah, you get to learn about people. It was fun.
But don't get too. I think that's the danger is like. I know people that go on a first date and they're like, I don't like this person, but I'm fascinated by them.
Yeah.
Don't go on a second date. Like,
yeah.
It was cool. It was great. You're fascinated, but you're not there's not a science project.
That's true.
You're
too.
dating them.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
I know a lot of girls that do that. I'm like, no. You're just curious about this guy. You don't actually like him.
Yeah. And you want to be kind too. You don't want to, I don't know, string people along if you know right off the bat that there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Unless you're both into that, and then, you can see our episodes that talk about Mr. Right Now or Ms. Right Now.
Hey, that guy exists, man.
Yep.
Fuck Greg.
The other advice I guess I would give is, especially if there are like kids involved, be careful.
Yeah.
Go slow. Don't move too quickly. Don't move in together too quickly. Oh my God, I've seen that. It just hurts my heart when I see that.
It's funny looking back, I didn't know, I knew my dad was seeing somebody, but like literally I didn't meet you until you'd been dating my dad for 9 months. My dad was like, hey, I want to keep this close to my vest. Like I'm seeing someone, like when it's right, like you can meet her. But he was keeping it between him because he didn't want to get us involved too early. And I really appreciated that. Like, it's funny, like, fuck, I wish I'd met you earlier. Because, like, you're amazing.
Aww,
but also,
kind.
like, I really appreciate that he was guarding our hearts and saying, like, I don't want to let this person in so close to my family if it's not going to be the long-term thing. Like, I think literally,
attached.
Like, I met you and 3 months later, you were engaged. Something like that. Like, it was, like, very quickly you were engaged. I was like, oh, sick, sweet. Karyn's amazing. Like,
well, I'm glad that all worked out.
I appreciated that a lot, though. Because there were relationships. I met someone once when he dated them, and I was like, this person sucks. And I got to put up with them now. And like, and I met them way too early because it didn't work. She was horrible, but it just was like, he learned from that clearly. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah. We were careful on that with my kids too, on my side, because they're a bit younger than you are too. So I think I was even more aware of not wanting to get them involved too soon.
Yeah.
Luckily that all went pretty smoothly, but we waited for a while. We didn't move right in together either. We took it slow. And I think that worked well since my kids still live at home, I wanted that to be as smooth a transition as it could be. I mean, it was still hard, but but at least we didn't just move him in like 2 months later or something like that.
When did you know that was the right, when did you know it was the right time to move in together?
To be honest, I sort of made an arbitrary decision on that.
Yeah.
And your dad went along with it with me because I think he respected the fact that I was the mom with kids at home.
Yeah.
So I said, I know it sounds weird and old fashioned, but I'd rather not have you move in until we're married.
That's cool.
And he was fine with that.
Yeah. Well, he likes you.
Yeah.
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 Do you ever met people who have moved in way too quickly and you're like, oh.
Yes, all the time. Like, gosh, this kind of distant friend of mine that I sort of see, what's going on in her life via Instagram. But she's got a daughter that's the same age as mine, so like 15. And over the last year, there have been 3 guys that have moved in.
It's one thing
and
if
out.
you're 20.
Hello.
It's one thing if you're 20 and you're like, wow, like,
yeah.
YOLO, like
no baggage.
Yes, right. But if you have kids, like that's rough. Because then the kid is being jerked, like new guy every couple months being jerked around. That's pretty brutal and hard.
That is. That just seems like it'd be hard on everybody.
Yeah, and it's emotionally hard. It's really hard for you emotionally. Like it's when you move in with someone, like it's a risk. Like absolutely. But to kind of, I hate the word cavalier, but that's where I think of like to kind of cavalierly bring people in your life. Like, oh, why don't you come in? Now you're gone. Like that just sounds emotionally really hard to keep going through that cycle over and over again. That'd be difficult for me. Yeah.
And I think that really is this whole, when people are desperate for that relationship, they find somebody, they think it's it and they're like, okay, let's go,
Yeah.
And just move them right in. And there shouldn't be any hurry. What's the hurry?
Is there a time when it's right to take that risk? Like, I don't know. Like,
I think there's no template there.
Yeah.
But but that being said, I also think it's a bit of a red flag if you're moving somebody in, especially if you have kids like 2 months later or something like that. You
just met, you're already, yeah.
But I also would question, why do you feel that kind of urgency? That to me is kind of suspicious.
Are you feeling a void? Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're in a, maybe that's the answer there is if you're in a hurry to do maybe anything dating, that's a problem. If you're in just a rush, whether it's dating or meeting my parents or this or that, like doesn't matter what the milestone is. If you're in a hurry to do anything, why? What's that's a problem.
Yep, I agree. So your dad and I ended up having like, a really nice time because I share custody of my kids. So that meant that there were nights that, he would come and stay with me when the kids weren't there. But we tried not to do that too much before he moved in for good, to have him stay over when the kids were there. Just sort of out of respect for them, to let them have a chance to kind of adjust to his presence and kind of slowly introduce that.
I know this is a dating podcast about, like, we talk about, like, go on first dates, go have lunch with someone. Like, it's really, that's how you fit in. Like, don't look at a first date especially, as this gigantic 2-hour project. It can be a 30-minute, 45-minute lunch, right?
Right.
But how do you transition? Because there was a moment in your relationship, I don't know this actually, I'm asking a question. When did it transition from Steven and I are getting lunch to now Steven and I are hanging out regularly throughout the week? I'm coming to events with him. He's coming over when my kids are gone. Like, how does that transition happen where you take your relationship to the next step from lunch dates once a week to more than that? Because you're balancing a lot, work, kids, pets. How does that integration happen? Can you describe that process at all?
I'll try. Well, I think I've said before that with your dad and I, it sounds so cheesy, but it pretty much was love at first meeting, not love at first sight, because I feel like
But you hit it off.
But we totally hit it off. Like, I think we both knew that, this was it. I know that sounds so cheesy, but it's true.
Hey, man, you can't argue with a good thing, though.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. And I had the benefit of a lot of first dates to be able to know what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So it just happened, it feels naturally. I wish I had better direction on that. It's not like it was super well thought out. It just sort of evolved. So we started out maybe seeing each other a couple of nights a week, again, mostly on the nights that I didn't have my kids. That's sort of how it started for me.
Yeah.
And then once we felt pretty secure that this was going to last, then we brought the kids into the picture, and then that opened up more nights during the week that we would be together with the kids present as well.
Before you guys having dinner, that kind of thing.
Yeah, short things. Like he would come over for dinner and then
take off at
go
8 o'clock.
home and that kind of thing. And then we started going to events, both just the two of us and then a little bit with the four of us. If something sounded like it would be interesting to the kids, we would take them. But again, they were pretty short.
How do you introduce your kids to a new guy? That sounds like a horrifying. Even my dad, it sounds terrifying to me.
It is. It is. And all those 30 dates, they never met anyone else, obviously, that I had dated, or even, the Mr. Right Nows. It was pretty nerve-wracking, but I also felt a sense of peace because, your dad is who he is. I knew that he would...
You felt good about the relationship.
Yeah, and I felt good about him as a man. Like, I think he's a good dad, and it was important to him, too. It's not just like he was deferring to me on all the kids stuff. It was important to him, too, to do it right and
I guess
make
maybe
the kids feel good.
You guys built trust, and you respected him, and you were like... I know who I'm bringing around my kids, right? You weren't like you weren't rolling the dice. You were like, no, this is a guy I know really well, who I trust, and I think you I would think had faith. This is going to go well.
Right. I had vetted him, very thoroughly. So
yeah. Well, can I say for people that I think the idea of going on a lot of first dates, you very briefly hit on something I think is really interesting, is you talked about perspective. A good thing. How about this? It helps you understand how good something is if you have a lot of perspective.
Yes.
I've been on so many dates, I've been around a lot of people. And so if I go on a date, I'm like, oh, this is either really good or really bad. And it's a yes or no, gut yes or gut no, because you have perspective to build off. That's the incentive. If someone out there's like, oh man, fucking 11 first dates, 20 first dates, I'm not going on another first date. No. Whether you end up going from the first date to a second date or not, it's valuable because it offers perspective.
Yes.
It'll help you understand what good really is when you run into good.
Right. Oh, that's a very good image. Yes.
That's just my encouragement. Don't be afraid to go on dates, because no matter what, you're going to get something out of it.
Yeah. Learning. Yep.
Yeah. What else? You have anything else, Karyn?
I think that's it. Just take it slow. Know that it's a numbers game. Use your online dating tools.
Please online date.
Yeah, don't settle down too fast.
Don't settle, period. Whether settling down or not, like, go find someone who makes you happy, please.
No, I mean more like don't move in together.
Yes.
Like don't.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
No, for sure. But it's both though, right? Like, I don't know. I think too often people, they go on that, we talked about that, go on that second date with someone, they're like, don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't move in together after 2 weeks or 2 months.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, yeah. And that being said, it may take a little bit of time to build up your ruthlessness muscle. So you may end up going on some second dates in the beginning, but just
learn from them.
Learn from that. And so that then you won't be wasting time, because that's what this whole episode is about is, how can you maximize your time and avoid falling into the desperately dating trap? And I think a lot of times people see dating as like a chore, that they don't want to do. It's like one more thing they've got to fit into their day. And I think that's really where you fall down, because then you're tempted to settle. You're tempted to get out of the dating pool faster.
Do you think that, I have two thoughts to that. Well, number one is like, it's easy to get maybe like lazy, where you're like, I'm with this person simply because I don't want to go through the work and the trouble of meeting someone new.
Oh, that's so true.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, if you feel like, this is just a question for you, like if someone feels like dating is this horrible chore and a ton of work, do you think they're ready to date?
Oh, well, I think they need an attitude adjustment. And hopefully that, maybe this podcast will help them with that.
But like maybe go journal and figure out like you're fucked up, I think, to some degree if you're like, oh my God, I have to go on a date. Like maybe not fucked up's not the right way to put it because I would get, there's burnout, right? After 9 first dates, you're like, I just can't go on another one.
That's a different story.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you're like scared to go on any first dates, then maybe you should figure out a little bit of your own stuff and do some journaling and figure out why do you feel that way?
Was it scared or lazy?
Yeah. Ooh, that's a great one. That's huge. Are you afraid?
You were saying two different things there. Yeah.
Are you afraid it's going to go badly or do you just not want to do it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think inertia is one, like where you're just fucking lazy, you don't want to put the work in. Like probably hearing that it could take 30, 40 dates is going to put some people just, back on the couch, not wanting to deal with it.
Yeah.
But
I want to say I've been really struggling creatively with, I think, I've been waiting for myself to want, like with Strong Women in Sports, right? I've been waiting for news stories to happen. I've been waiting for work to get done. I've been waiting. It's like, what am I waiting for? I need to go make it happen. I really like, there was a moment where I shifted. So my girlfriend and I broke up like a long, long time ago, my ex-girlfriend. And I was just really depressed for a little while. And I was just like waiting and waiting, like on the couch, literally just sitting there like, at some point I'm going to feel better. At some point. And I'm like, no. I need to do the work to make myself feel better and do the work to get my shit together a little bit and gather myself. I think waiting to feel better, waiting to feel like you're ready to date, waiting to feel like dating won't be a work is a problem. Like, get your shit dealt with so you are ready to go on the date. Don't just wait around for that moment to kick in. Does that make sense? Is that harsh?
It does make sense. I do feel like it's a little harsh. And I'll tell you why. I think that there's definitely that element, when you're recovering from something, like a breakup, you need to grieve it. You need to journal about it. You need to learn from it, like we've talked about on other shows. But I also feel like there's that element of time, and time does heal wounds.
Yeah.
There's this quote I really like. It says something to the effect of, pour time into your heart and your wounds will heal themselves, or something like that. And I really like that because I do feel like there's something to that. You get a little bit of distance from the event is helpful too. Not that you shouldn't be trying to actively work on whatever you need to process about that, but sometimes it just takes some time, and you should be kind to yourself. Yeah.
That's why I love you, man. You're so measured, you're wise. I make these grand, bold statements. You're like, actually, let me help you out. And it's huge. You do it with my dad, you do it with me on this podcast. I love it. Karyn, do you have anything else? I've asked that before. It's interesting because I feel like I ask that question a lot. I'm like, hey, do you have anything else? But I really think it's important to get all the thoughts out. So I know if people listen to this podcast, like, Zach, every couple episodes, you just ask that question like 3 times. I'm like, yeah, because I want to get it all covered. I don't want to leave anything on the table. That's like, I'm maybe a little bit manically afraid of leaving something unspoken and finishing the show and going, fuck, should have had that. Should have talked about this or that. And then we can save it for another episode. But I want to let the people listening know I'm not going to apologize for doing that, for asking, like, is there anything else? Because I think it's important to get it all out.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. But I think it kind of goes back to something that we were saying in this episode, and that's, enjoy the journey. So I'm really enjoying this journey with you and having these conversations. And, we may not cover it each and every episode, but I think over the span of it all, we will.
Yeah, cool. Guys, thank you so very much for listening to Desperately Dating. This has been episode 11. Dating with time constraints, or finding time for dating, guys. Thank you so much. My name is Zach Shomler. That has been my wonderful and wise stepmom, Karyn Shomler. Have a great day and take care.